Hey guys, it's Mario Fan 520, and you guys might be noticing, yes, I am outside again. I'm actually walking home from school again, so there will be a couple movie reviews here and there while I'll do reviews of some horror movies and stuff like that. And these reviews may take place outside. The reason for that is because I won't really have time to review I won't really have time to review movies when I get home, so I technically have to do them while I'm walking home. So yeah, anyway, but today I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite suspenseful horror films, Pet Sematary. So Pet Sematary was released back in 1989 and is based off of the Stephen King novel, the terrifying Stephen King novel, actually. And it's not really known as this movie's not really known as one of his best adaptations, but it's definitely not one of his worst. But honestly, I love this movie. What's the plot to this film? Well, this story is about a family who lives in a house in Maine somewhere, and behind their house holds a dark and terrible secret of what happens after death and stuff like that. Behind their house basically holds a dark and horrible, horrific, and very, very gruesome secret of what happens after something dies. Is there still something living? What happens to specific animals after they die? And worst of all, what's going to become of this family? Listen, I've said this once, I've said this twice, I've said this so many times, but I'm gonna say it again. I love horror movies. I really do love horror movies. And I also love horror movies that involve like creature features and stuff like that. And I do enjoy movies like maybe Cujo, Cat's Eye, I think that's the name of the movie. I think these are really good Stephen King adaptations, honestly. They're not one of his best, but they are enjoyable. Cujo is fun, Cat's Eye is fun. They're both really good in their own ways. But it's sort of like, I love horror movies and I love creature features and stuff like that. I don't really come across a Stephen King adaptation that involves a creature feature that I actually love, except this movie. Pet Sematary is freaking awesome. I am so excited to talk about this film. I absolutely love almost every minute of this film. This film is filled throughout the entire runtime of this film. This film has suspense, it has drama. This film is filled with so many horror elements and supernatural elements, and they are so engaging too. Films like Pet Sematary don't really get praised, especially by horror fans or audiences in general. And I don't think that's relevant, honestly. I think this movie deserves more attention, honestly. And honestly, this is an underrated horror film throughout cinema, and for its time it has become a classic. And I would still consider this movie a classic today, but I think this is one of the few horror films, especially Stephen King adaptations, that has been forgotten. And it's kind of sad because this movie is really great. Pet Sematary has a lot of things right, honestly. This movie really does have a lot to say with its supernatural elements, its drama, its horror, its story too. The story in this film is surprisingly very deep. I absolutely love a lot of things that this movie tries to go for. This movie actually creates a legit attempt on trying to scare its audience with its supernatural elements. There are a lot of things that are occurring around this family's house, and all of these elements are what make the film so great. I really do think the acting in this movie is perfect, honestly. The acting is top-notch in this movie. Although the characterization is not good, honestly, it's not that deep. And that's honestly the problem with most horror movies. They don't really have that really good characterization, especially with thrillers and suspenseful films. I guess you could say somewhat here and there you can actually do care about these characters, and I think that has to do with some of the tragic events that that occur in Pet Sematary, which I'm not going to spoil anything. But there are a lot of shocking and surprisingly emotional moments and here and there, and dark moments and brutal moments of Pet Sematary, and they are highly supernatural, and they're just thrown at you, and I think these are the elements that make this film so special. I'd have to say the direction in this film is really great, honestly. There are a lot of beautiful shots in Pet Sematary, and the quality in this movie for an 80s movie really is good. This movie has many things right about it, honestly, in my view at least, especially if I consider this film a classic. And the thing that I love the most about Pet Sematary is that it knows what it wanted to be. This movie knows what it wants to be and what it's trying to go for and what it wants to do to shock its audience. What the tone that's brought into Pet Sematary and all in the hardcore suspense and drama that's thrown into this film, it's just bashed at the audience, is absolutely great, honestly. I actually find it really fascinating on how deep this movie was trying to be, and I think it succeeded. Definitely one of the best things about this film is the atmosphere. The atmosphere is amazing. Along with the direction, the atmosphere hardly ever lags in this film. And the atmosphere mashing up with the story just together, I think it blends into a great giant breath of fresh air for you to experience. I think Pet Sematary really is a great movie, in my view at least, and it doesn't really deserve to be really bashed down that much. I think this movie is starting to get a little unappreciated by audiences as time goes on. I also love the fact that Pet Sematary got away without using CGI or practical effects. The creatures that are used in this movie are actual creatures. The majority of this time, 99.9% of the time, the creatures in this movie are actual animals. And I love that. I absolutely love that because it makes the experience of Pet Sematary a lot more realistic. A lot more realistic. Colliding with the atmosphere and the direction and the storyline in this film. Now let's talk about the actors in this film. Dale Midkiff really does a good job in this film, and he delivers somewhat. He makes his performance and the tragic events that surround his family honestly makes you like the character just a tad. But like I said, the characterization isn't really that good in this movie, which sort of hurts the film. And honestly, my other flaw with this movie has to do with some certain scenes that I think are placed in Sematary that don't necessarily need to be in the film. Somewhat, and I think it has to do near when the second act of the movie is nearly finishing, probably, and then it heads to the third act of the film, and I thought that was just a derail for the film, honestly. But Denise Crosby is also really good in this movie, honestly. I'd have to say the actors really do commit in this movie. The actors do commit. And honestly, if the actors didn't really commit, I think the story wouldn't really be that investing, or we wouldn't even be that really invested in probably some of the tragic events. The suspense will probably be very nice still, but we wouldn't really have some emotional feels in some certain scenes that are a part of Pet Sematary, a big part of it. I absolutely love this movie. Pet Sematary is a great horror movie that honestly doesn't deserve to be forgotten. This movie is really, really beautifully shot. It has a really great story, great actors, not really great characters that much, but it is such a really great movie, honestly. And the suspenseful scenes are really well directed, honestly, too. And when scary stuff hit the fan, honestly, you're always there, invested in the story, technically. And I think the best thing about this movie is the feel of hidden suspense. Because what Pet Sematary tries to carry best is tries to carry hidden secrets that we all want to know about. And they are absolutely terrifying. They really are. And just by viewing and understanding what's happening, it gives you chills. Everything in this film is absolutely disturbing, and it's really clever on what this film tries to go for. And Pet Sematary is really a great horror film. Personally, one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. I don't care how underrated this movie is. It's honestly a great movie in my view, at least. And I think this movie honestly deserves more attention, because maybe some other time this film might get more attention later on in life. But anyway, this is one of my favorite horror films, and I think it will stay as that way. It's not really one of my favorite horror movies like of all time, not like on my top 10s, but it is one of my favorite horror films personally. I'm gonna give Pet Sematary an A-. Didn't expect me to give it that big of a grade, right? But listen guys, I'm telling you, I love this movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out for yourself. But honestly, make your own opinion on it. Don't always listen to everyone's opinion. Make your own opinion on it and what you thought of the movie. Did you like Pet Sematary? Did you hate Pet Sematary? Let me know what you thought about this movie, because honestly, this movie has mixed thoughts from audiences all over the world. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this movie review of Pet Sematary. You guys are the best. I love every single one of you, and look forward to more horror movie reviews for Horror Movie Month. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this amazing review of Pet Sematary. I absolutely love this film. It's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I am Mario Fan 520, and I will see you next time. Peace out.